The galaxy was vast, filled with countless stars, planets, and civilizations. Among them, humanity was considered young and insignificant. The older races, with their advanced technology and sprawling empires, often dismissed humans as primitive. But everything changed the day the warship appeared. It was an ordinary mining operation on a distant asteroid belt. A small human crew, led by a seasoned captain named John, was scanning for rare minerals. Their ship, the Starblade, was old and worn, barely holding together. But John and his team were determined to make a living, even in the harshness of space. As they drilled into the asteroid, their sensors picked up an unusual signal. It was faint but unmistakable, a metallic structure buried deep within the rock. Curiosity got the better of them, and they decided to investigate. What they found left them speechless. Buried beneath layers of ancient rock was a massive warship, unlike anything they had ever seen. Its design was sleek and alien, with smooth curves and glowing blue lines running along its hull. It was clearly not human-made, yet it bore strange markings that resembled Earth's ancient languages. John and his crew cautiously entered the ship. The interior was pristine, as if it had been preserved for millennia. The walls hummed with energy, and the air was filled with a faint, otherworldly scent. They soon discovered a control room, where a holographic interface flickered to life. The interface displayed a message in a language they couldn't understand, but the symbols began to shift and change. To their astonishment, the words transformed into English. It read, "Welcome, descendants of Earth. This vessel is yours to command." The crew was stunned. How could an alien warship recognize them as descendants of Earth? And why had it been hidden here, waiting for them to find it? Before they could process the implications, the ship's systems activated. Lights flared to life, and the engines began to hum with power. John hesitated. He knew they were in over their heads. This ship was far beyond their understanding, and its sudden activation could mean trouble. But the opportunity was too great to ignore. If they could control this warship, humanity might finally have a chance to stand among the galaxy's great powers. As the Starblade docked with the alien vessel, John made a decision. They would take the warship back to Earth and present it to the United Nations. But deep down, he knew this discovery would change everything. The galaxy would soon learn that humanity was no longer a minor player. Little did they know, the warship was more than just a weapon. It was a key to something far greater, a secret that had been hidden for millions of years. And as the crew prepared to leave the asteroid belt, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The warship's engines roared to life, and the asteroid shook as it lifted off. John stood on the bridge, staring at the stars through the massive viewport. He didn't know what the future held, but one thing was certain: humanity's place in the galaxy was about to change forever. The alien warship, now under the tentative control of John and his crew, surged through the void of space. Its engines, impossibly advanced, propelled it faster than any human vessel could dream of. The crew was in awe, but also uneasy. The ship seemed to have a mind of its own, its systems responding to their commands with an eerie precision. As they traveled toward Earth, strange things began to happen. The holographic interface in the control room flickered again, displaying new messages. This time, the words were clearer: systems rebooting. Primary functions online. Awaiting user input. John, standing at the helm, felt a chill run down his spine. "What does that mean?" he muttered, more to himself than anyone else. One of the crew members, a young engineer named Lisa, stepped forward. "Captain, I think it's trying to communicate with us. Maybe it's asking for a command." John hesitated. He wasn't sure what to do. This ship was beyond their understanding, and every decision felt like stepping into the unknown. But they couldn't just sit idle. "All right," he said finally. "Let's see what it can do. Ask it to run a diagnostic." Lisa nodded and approached the interface. She spoke clearly, "Run a full system diagnostic." The ship responded instantly. The holographic display lit up with streams of data, showing the status of every system. The crew watched in amazement as the ship's capabilities were laid bare. It had weapons that could obliterate entire fleets, shields that could withstand the strongest attacks, and engines that could cross galaxies in the blink of an eye. But there was something else. Buried in the data was a reference to something called the Prime Directive. The crew couldn't decipher what it meant, but it seemed important. As they continued to explore the ship, they discovered a hidden chamber deep within its core. Inside, they found a massive, glowing orb suspended in mid-air. It pulsed with a soft, golden light, and the air around it seemed to vibrate with energy. John approached the orb cautiously. "What is this?" he whispered. Before anyone could answer, the orb flared to life. A voice, deep and resonant, filled the chamber. "Welcome, chosen ones. You have awakened the Ark of Eternity. This vessel is not merely a warship, it is a guardian of the cosmos, designed to protect the balance of the galaxy." The crew exchanged nervous glances. John cleared his throat. "Who are you? And why did you choose us?" The voice replied, "You are the descendants of Earth, the last hope for peace in a galaxy on the brink of chaos. This ship was hidden away, waiting for the right time to reveal itself. That time is now." Before John could ask more questions, the ship's alarms blared. The holographic display showed an incoming transmission. It was from Earth. "Captain," Lisa said urgently, "we're being hailed." John nodded. "Put it through." The screen flickered, and the face of a high-ranking official from the United Nations appeared. "Captain, we've detected your approach. What is that ship? And why is it heading toward Earth?" John took a deep breath. "Sir, we've found something extraordinary. But we're not alone. There's more to this ship than we realized. We need to talk." The official's expression hardened. "Prepare for immediate debriefing. And Captain, be careful. The galaxy is watching." The transmission ended, and John turned to his crew. "We're about to step into the unknown. Stay sharp." As the warship approached Earth, the crew couldn't shake the feeling that their lives, and the fate of humanity, were about to change forever. The alien warship entered Earth's orbit, its massive silhouette casting a shadow over the planet. Governments and militaries scrambled to respond, their sensors overwhelmed by the vessel's sheer size and power. John and his crew were immediately summoned to a high-security meeting with the United Nations. In a heavily guarded conference room, John stood before a panel of world leaders, scientists, and military officials. The tension was palpable. "This ship," John began, "is more than a weapon. It's a guardian, designed to protect the galaxy. But it chose us, humanity, to wield it." The room erupted into murmurs. A general slammed his fist on the table. "This is a threat. We can't trust alien technology. It could be a trap." Before John could respond, the warship's holographic interface activated in the room, projecting the glowing orb's voice. "The galaxy is in danger. A force of destruction approaches. You must prepare." The leaders fell silent, their skepticism replaced by unease. "What force?" one of them asked. The orb's voice grew urgent. "The Void-born. Ancient entities that consume worlds. They have awakened, and this ship is the only hope to stop them." Before anyone could process this, alarms blared across the planet. Sensors detected an unknown fleet entering the solar system. The Void-born had arrived. John and his crew rushed back to the warship. As they boarded, the ship's systems came alive, its weapons charging and shields activating. The crew took their positions, their hearts pounding. The Void-born fleet was unlike anything they had ever seen, sleek, black ships that seemed to absorb light. They moved with terrifying speed, closing in on Earth. John gripped the controls. We have to stop them. Lisa, activate the main cannon. Let's show them what this ship can do. The warship's cannon charged, a beam of pure energy erupting from its core. It struck the lead void-born ship, obliterating it in an instant. The crew cheered, but the victory was short-lived. More ships surged forward, their weapons firing. The warship's shields held, but the onslaught was relentless. John realized they couldn't win alone. We need help, he said. Contact the other races. Tell them we're fighting for all of us. As the warship held the line, a message was sent across the galaxy. Humanity, once dismissed as weak, was now standing against the Void-born. And the galaxy was watching. The warship's message echoed across the galaxy, reaching the ears of countless civilizations. At first, there was silence. The older races, skeptical of humanity's sudden rise, hesitated. But as the Void-born continued their relentless advance, destroying everything in their path, the galaxy had no choice but to act. The first to respond were the Krell, a warrior species known for their honor and discipline. Their fleet arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system, their commander hailing the warship. Humanity, the Krell leader said, his voice gruff but respectful, we stand with you. The Void-born are a threat to us all. Next came the Ilarians, a technologically advanced race. Their sleek, silver ships joined the Krell fleet, their leader stating simply, we will fight together, or we will fall together. One by one, other races sent their forces. The galaxy, divided for millennia, was uniting under humanity's leadership. John stood on the warship's bridge, watching the growing alliance on the holographic display. This is it, he said to his crew. This is our chance to prove we belong among the stars. The Void-born fleet, sensing the gathering resistance, launched a massive assault. Hundreds of their ships surged toward Earth, their weapons glowing with dark energy. The Allied forces moved to intercept, but the Void-born were relentless. John knew they needed a plan. Lisa, he said, can we use the warship's main cannon to target their command ship? Lisa nodded, her fingers flying across the interface. Yes, but we'll need cover. The Void-born will try to stop us. John opened a channel to the Allied fleet. This is Captain John of the human warship. We need your help. Protect us while we take out their command ship. The Krell commander responded immediately. We will shield you with our lives. The battle raged fiercely. The Allied ships formed a protective barrier around the warship, absorbing the Void-born's attacks. John steered the warship through the chaos, its main cannon charging. Finally, they had a clear shot. Fire! John commanded. The cannon unleashed a blinding beam of energy, striking the Void-born command ship. It exploded in a burst of light, sending shockwaves through the enemy fleet. The Void-born ships, now leaderless, began to retreat. The Allied forces cheered, their voices echoing across the comms. For the first time, the Void-born had been defeated. John looked at his crew, a smile breaking through his exhaustion. We did it. But this is just the beginning. The victory against the Void-born was short-lived. Though their command ship had been destroyed, the enemy fleet regrouped quickly, their numbers seemingly endless. The Allied forces, though united, were stretched thin. The cost of the battle was already high, ships were lost, lives were sacrificed, and Earth's defenses were crumbling. On the warship's bridge, John stared at the holographic display, his face grim. The Allied fleet was holding the line, but barely. We can't keep this up, he said to Lisa. We need a new strategy. Lisa nodded, her eyes scanning the data. The warship has a weapon we haven't used yet, a pulse that can disable Void-born ships. But it'll drain our power completely. We'll be defenseless. John clenched his fists. It was a risky move, but they had no other choice. Do it. We'll trust the Allies to cover us. He opened a channel to the fleet. This is Captain John. We're going to disable the Void-born fleet, but we'll need your protection. Hold the line for us. The Krell commander responded first. We will not fail you, human. The warship systems began to hum as the pulse weapon charged. The Void-born, sensing the threat, launched a desperate attack. Their ships swarmed the warship, their weapons pounding against its shields. The Allied forces fought bravely, their ships forming a tight perimeter around the warship. The Krell ships took the brunt of the assault, their hulls cracking under the pressure. The Ilarians used their advanced technology to create a temporary barrier, but it was weakening fast. We're losing them. Lisa shouted, her voice filled with panic. John's heart ached as he watched the Allied ships fall one by one. But there was no turning back now. Hold on, he yelled. Just a little longer. Finally, the pulse weapon was ready. Fire! John commanded. A blinding wave of energy erupted from the warship, sweeping across the battlefield. Void-born ships shuddered and went dark, their systems disabled. The Allied forces cheered, but their celebration was muted. The cost had been too high. The warship's power drained completely, its systems shutting down. John and his crew were left floating in silence, surrounded by the wreckage of battle. The Krell commander's voice crackled over the comms. You did it, human. But the war is not over. John nodded, his voice heavy with grief. We'll rebuild. We'll fight again. For those we've lost, and for those who still stand. The warship drifted powerless in the void, its crew exhausted but determined. The Allied fleet, though battered, began regrouping. The Void-born had been dealt a heavy blow, but their retreat was only temporary. Scouts reported that a massive armada was gathering at the edge of the galaxy, far larger than anything they had faced before. John knew this was the moment of truth. We need to strike now, he said to his crew. If we wait, they'll overwhelm us. The warship systems slowly came back online, thanks to repairs by the Ilarians. Lisa worked tirelessly, her hands moving across the interface. We've got partial power, but the pulse weapon is offline. We'll have to rely on conventional weapons. John nodded. Then we'll make every shot count. The Allied fleet prepared for the final battle. The Krell, their ships patched and ready, formed the vanguard. The Ilarians provided support, their advanced technology creating a network of shields and sensors. Other races, inspired by humanity's courage, sent whatever ships they could spare. As the fleet approached the Void-born armada, the scale of the enemy's forces became clear. Thousands of black ships filled the void, their dark energy pulsing ominously. John took a deep breath. This is it. For Earth. For the galaxy. The battle began with a deafening roar. The Krell charged forward, their ships crashing into the Void-born lines. The Ilarians provided covering fire, their energy beams cutting through the enemy's defenses. The warship, though weakened, unleashed its weapons with precision, targeting key enemy ships. But the Void-born were relentless. Their ships swarmed the Allied forces, their weapons tearing through hulls and shields. The Krell commander's ship was destroyed in a blaze of fire, his final words echoing across the comms, for honor. For the galaxy. John's heart ached, but he couldn't afford to falter. Lisa, can we overload the warship's core? Use it as a weapon? Lisa's eyes widened. It'll destroy the ship, and us. John's voice was steady. If it stops the Void-born, it's worth it. The crew exchanged solemn nods. They knew what had to be done. As the Void-born closed in, the warship's core began to overload. The Allied forces, realizing the plan, provided cover, their ships forming a protective barrier. John stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the enemy. This is for everyone we've lost. For everyone who believed in us. The warship exploded in a blinding flash of light, its energy engulfing the void-born armada. When the light faded, the enemy fleet was gone. The galaxy had won, but at a terrible cost. The galaxy fell silent. The void-born armada was destroyed, their threat eradicated. But the cost of victory was immense. The warship was gone, its sacrifice a symbol of humanity's courage. The Allied fleet, though victorious, was a shadow of its former self. Ships drifted lifelessly, their crews mourning the fallen. On Earth, the news spread quickly. Humanity had saved the galaxy, but the price was heavy. John and his crew were hailed as heroes, though many of them had not survived the final battle. The warship's legacy became a beacon of hope, a reminder of what could be achieved through unity and sacrifice. The Krell and Ilarians, once skeptical of humanity, now stood as their closest allies. Together, they began rebuilding what had been lost. The galaxy, once divided, was now united in a way it had never been before. A memorial was erected on Earth, honoring those who had fallen in the war. Among the names were John and his crew, their bravery immortalized in stone. The glowing orb from the warship, recovered from the wreckage, was placed at the center of the memorial. It pulsed softly, a reminder of the ship's final act of defiance. Years passed, and the galaxy began to heal. New alliances were formed, and technology was shared freely among the races. Humanity, once seen as weak, was now a respected leader. The warship's discovery had changed everything, proving that even the smallest could rise to greatness. On the anniversary of the final battle, representatives from every race gathered at the memorial. The Krell commander, now the leader of his people, spoke first. We owe our survival to humanity. Their courage inspired us all. The Ilarian leader followed. The warship was more than a weapon. It was a symbol of hope. And that hope lives on in all of us. As the ceremony concluded, the glowing orb flared to life one last time. A holographic message appeared, written in every language of the galaxy: the balance is restored. The guardianship passes to you. The message faded, but its meaning was clear. The warship's purpose had been fulfilled, and its legacy would guide the galaxy forward. As the stars shone brightly above, the galaxy looked to the future with hope. The war was over, but the journey was just beginning.